What's up, guys? Welcome back to another trading video with me, Oscar. Today we're not doing so much trading reviews. I'm going to review the main plays that I watched yesterday and that I somewhat paper traded. But this video is mainly going to be about reviewing my daily diary. Just to keep reminding myself of the key lessons that I learned yesterday that I should take with me on today's trading, so that I can push myself forward in my development as a trader. So we'll start off by the main plays that I looked at. I looked at HTBX, HER, and BLNK. I think we start off by BLNK. Or there was one more. Was it? Yeah, it was Boxel. BXL. I don't like all this stuff. That. Boxel and Boxel was the main play that brought the idea to HTBX. So Boxel is a form of supernova that we've seen in the past days or the past week. We have seen somewhat of a market fire, or this sort of sector of low float stocks run like huge. As with HTBX, BLNK here is not within that, but yeah. So this had two. So I call this within my, because I track these. So I call this the second push of this pattern. So we see Boxel is the first one to make this second push, and so that's why I'm thinking that HTBX might be following through and make a big push today. That's why I started to watch HTBX, because it could have been coming already yesterday, because we had a small green day, and then it could potentially have pulled off this big green day. Although I wouldn't bet my money that it does this today, I'm not like 100% sure that it will. It's just a thesis. If it doesn't, it doesn't. That's nothing more. So that's the key thinking about HTBX. Boxel, on the other hand, I wanted to see overextended gap up. That would have been I would have been so much secure in that setup to short it. Although it gapped down, and although I did actually paper trade this, so I saw this morning push, and if we had original chart, you could have seen that VWAP was just around here, so it just nearly spiked to VWAP, then failed. So I shorted the second bounce, cover up somewhere in the late midday, because it didn't fade anymore, it was just grinding. So, and I was super glad that I did that, because they announced earnings and that spiked the stock, even though it wasn't good, and so it was just crap. But some key lessons about Boxel is, so overextended gap downs are not a pattern that I have been tracking. I'm doing it as of right now, so I don't have any statistics on it. But it turns out that I'm getting more and more comfortable of finding the probables overextended gap downs that works. So my thinking about these plays that I haven't tracked the setup like super detailed, that I'm not finished with it. I don't have enough data to rely on the statistics. My main thinking process about those are that if I play them with real capital, so with my real trading account, I'm basically going to trade them very, very carefully. So I'm going to short right down here, and then I would probably have been cutting the trade as of somewhere in here, because this is somewhat of a trend changing moment, when there is a significant bounce, or not significant, but there is a bounce and that it continues to hold up. So that's a key thing that I will take with me. I will probably, or maybe, I'm not super certain about it, but maybe I will start playing some of these more carefully with my real trading account, just to get out there, get some experience, feeling the adrenaline, so that when I got my statistics down, I'm more calm, to be trading with a calm head, so to say. So those were the two main thinking processes of Voxel and HTBX, and the main lesson, or the main thing that I was seeing that was really perfect on this gap down, was that it pushed through VWAP just barely and then just snapped. So that's something that I love to see, and that I'm probably going to attack more aggressive further on. BLNK, as you can see, it's overextended, one of these supernovas. It hasn't broken down yet, just as we have seen Voxel and HTBX done. Mainly because they haven't done any financing just yet. But it started to crack like into the close, the former support right here, or former low even. So I decided to short some, or paper trade, of course, to throw out some ideas just to see if they work in the 550s. So I threw out in a short on the 550s, because this is like the main area, 550 of key support. So if I had shorted this like for real, I would still be having some shorts in overnight. So we'll see how this plays out. I'm not super comfortable, or I'm not super like determined that this is going to gap down further. This is a really tricky play that just luring shorts and then squeezes them. So I have no real clue actually. It's just a feeler of a major breakdown, since it closed so weak, although it held true the low, so it could as well be gapping up today and just breaking out. This is like, it's a feeler. I have to try out those as well to see what's up. HER also was a gap down. Tried to play it just the way I did with Voxel. The former close, or the green red area, was actually in the 515s. So these two candles double topping up here was a perfect sign for me to short. I did short right here on this small bounce. Then it started to grind up once again, and then it broke past. I cut my loss just as planned, which was very good. Something that I should improve on, and that I did yesterday, was that I started to see, okay, the gap down didn't work. Let's see if the spike into resistance will work, which is no problem. The thought process there is no problem. There's no problem with that. It's a good way to look around and see the different opportunities that there might be. But something that I should have done earlier than I did was to take out some pictures of spike into resistance plays that I have tracked, and this is the good thing about, or the beautiful thing about being meticulous as you track stocks and you take picture of them, because then I would have compared the action of these successful spike into resistance with HERR. As you can see, the successful spike into resistance has been much more, they're not as gradual as HRAR. And if I had seen that earlier, I could simply have said, okay, I'm going to let this trade probably show me what to do. I'm not going to be so over aggressive as we get uh, closer and closer. But unfortunately, I didn't have that approach. But that's a very good lesson that I've learned from yesterday's trading or yesterday's paper trading to take up former successful examples to compare the charts. So yeah, I took a controlled risk or controlled loss on this one. And I said that this wasn't going to be a trade recap, but it turned out to be somewhat of that. But if we get into the diary, that was supposed to be the main focus of this. I also did some studying, of course. You should. That's something that I think all of you should do, even though that you have been trading for, I don't know, 10 years. You should always be doing some studying to remember yourself of key lessons and just key rules, because even though you have learned them and been taught them like 1,000 times, you tend to forget them, or focus on other stuff that seem to be more important as in the moment. So that's the first thing that I will take with me in today's trading, even though there's might be something more important to do, or that I think just within the moment. I should also be focusing up on studying and remember myself of the key rules, because this, at least for me, really helps me to keep calm with my trading and make good decisions. On HTER, as I talked about, be more meticulous. Be more meticulous about checking former successful pictures of successful trades within the pattern, so that you can compare them and see if the price action is similar. And as you saw, it was just slow and steady. So also be able to shift focus and shift bias, because if I had been like zooming out and seeing, okay, this is a really steady grow, like really steady, up, 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 then I could have been changing my focus into bullish more than bearish, because this is a um, very clear example of me fighting a trend. This is clear bullish trend. Yeah, I did some studying on the interview of Hadi, and I took out some key points right there. And one of the major points that I took out, and major lesson that I took out, was that you should and could use tracking on sectors. I have already done this, but not thinking about it as tracking sectors. So I have been tracking what I call the supernova market conditions. So the place that I showed you, like GNPX, HTBX, all of these stocks have this sort of pattern where they go parabolic, and then either, as you can see by my tracking, they either continue the next day or they die, and such on and such forth. And something that Hadi took up was that, and he didn't take it up like he took it up that he should be, that is was of need of tracking setups and getting statistics. But he also said, like, okay, I've been watching many Gratani webinars, and if you ask Gratani about a ticket that he hadn't been tracking or looking into, he wouldn't be able to answer you. So this basically shows you that you can use tracking within sectors and when stocks get hot to get a better feeling of how they work, just as I did with the supernovas, because I was so confident on, if we go back to this, and this is how many days they ran. So I was looking into as AMDA. I was like almost 100% sure that this was going to fail on the second day, because we before that we had three stocks that have ran near or above 100%, and then on the next day they either gapped up some like 20% or they gapped down 20%, and then they tend to fail. And I saw immediately I saw a match with AMDA and with CLVT. They did exactly the same pattern. So what I'm going to conclude this to is just you can use spreadsheets and tracking on so many different things. Um, do whatever it do whatever it takes to make you comfortable and seeing the patterns more clearly. Then just some basic conclusions and basic ending words is Rome isn't built overnight. You have to remember this. Grattani took 9 months before he was profitable. So even though you want to rush it, you want to get into it, you want to make millions, of course you want to do that. But you have to be like realistic on yourself as well, and I'm thinking that my process is keeping on pushing forward. So sometimes I just have to take a breath and just chill and look back, zoom out. Okay, what have I accomplished? Just remember that it's only you versus you. You're the biggest obstacle within the trading and within anything in your life. And I know that's really cliche, but it's like that. So I think that's everything for today. Hopefully you learned something. But as I said, this is more of a way for me to reflect on my key lessons that I've learned from yesterday. So yeah, I think that's it. Peace, guys.